Welcome to the Midwest Education Technology Communities Podcast, otherwise known as METC. METC is a nonprofit organization based out of St. Louis, Missouri, with a mission to motivate, engage, transform, and connect all learners to advocacy, partnerships, and professional learning opportunities. METC is a premier affiliate of ISTE. To learn more about METC, follow us on social media at METC Ed Plus. You may also check out our website at metcedplus.org. METC is a program of Education Plus. To learn more about Education Plus, go to edplus.org. It is now time to begin our current episode. We thank you for listening and enjoy the learning. Welcome to another episode of the METC podcast. My name is Jonathan Lee, and I am excited to bring you another Spotlight Educator episode. This episode is with Rhonda Jenkins, and she is a library media specialist outside of Chicago in Naperville. And so she talks to us about makerspaces, and we've got another two-parter here. So in this first episode, we talk about getting started and how she's got her library set up and how it's taken place over time. And then we talk about her typical day and what does that look like from day in and day out for her students, for herself, for her classes and teachers. And then we finish with how she deals with the noise in the library. So a lot of great things happening in her library. Pretty cool. Great talk with her. She will be at the METC conference, of course, so you should come check her out in February. She'll be there all 3 days. Registration is open, metcedplus.org. For more information, go there, find out. All the show notes, everything she shares and talks about is going to be in the show notes as well. You can find at METC Ed Plus as well. So I appreciate you listening to this podcast. I know you have a lot of choices out there when it comes to your personalized PD, and we greatly appreciate you choosing us. So hopefully you'll enjoy this little episode on creating makerspaces in your library space with Rhonda Jenkins, METC 19 Spotlight Educator. Enjoy. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the METC podcast. This is Jonathan Lee. I am your host. I have another special guest with me today, and we're going to be talking about the makerspaces in the library, which I always love talking about and learning about, because the library, for me, my experience is a very quiet, no talking space, and makerspaces are not that. So I always like hearing how the library is being transformed and growing and that kind of thing. So with me today is Rhonda Jenkins. She is from outside of Chicago, not inside Chicago, outside Chicago in the Naperville area. She is an METC 19 Spotlight Educator, so we're really excited to have her on our Spotlight team. She's going to be presenting at our conference this year, 3 days in February, so you should come check her out. Makerspace. Welcome to the episode here.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm happy to be here. It was a very big surprise for me to be nominated as the one of the Spotlight Educators, but I'm so honored and privileged. So I'm happy to be here. I am, like you said, in the Naperville area, and I've been in the school district, Indian Prairie School District, for 20 years now. I started off as a 5th grade teacher, moved to 3rd grade, and then to the high school, back to 3rd grade, and now I'm doing the best job ever, and that's Library Media Center Director. Best job ever. The marriage of everything I love: kids, teaching, books, and technology. And of course, now Makerspace.
That sounds awesome. I didn't realize you taught 5th grade. That's great.
Yes, for 5 years, so that was a good time.
Okay, I mean, that's the best grade of all the ones you mentioned. So I mean, that's the one I taught for 7-8 years now. And so yeah, they're good kids. And so what grade levels do you facilitate with in your current role?
And my school is Kendall Elementary, and I am K-5 building.
Okay, very nice. And so you've been in this role again how many years?
this role now for 5 years now.
5 years. Okay. And so our first area that we're going to talk about as we're related to the topic, makerspaces in the library, we want to kind of talk about how you got started. So can you kind of run down what these last 5 years kind of look like?
Sure. My first year, of course, was that acclimation year, trying to figure out what exactly my job is, realizing still that I love it. And also being active on social media. I always looked at other people and I thought, Makerspace, what in the heck is this Makerspace thing? So following people that had that, I was like, oh, I could do that. So in the second year being here, I decided, well, I can just start little things. So I bought in a puzzle table and I put a little sign on it that said, let's put it together piece by piece. And so we ended up with putting some giant size puzzles together. Later on that year, I decided to add a giant sheet of paper on a table with a question each day, and the kids would respond on that piece of paper. But sometimes they get a little mischievous and they would write things that couldn't really be erased, right? So, just scribble it out or something, and it was hard to show. So that kind of went away a little bit. And then I would make little activity tables, and I started off with butterflies because it was in the springtime, and they could cut out and make a 3-dimensional butterfly and color it up and just have a good time with that. So that was in 2015-16 school year. I just remember that because I was looking through pictures. And then later on that year, I believe it was April or so, our district actually got a grant from our Indian Prairie School District Education Foundation. And they got us Osmo, Spiros, dashes, some iPads to run those things, little bits, so some nice things. So they gave it to us, and they didn't really tell us what they wanted us to do with them. So I thought, do they want us to put them in the library and then check them out? Or so that I took them and decided, I'm just going to put them out in Makerspace and see what happens. So I'm starting my Makerspace now. And so the Osmos were very popular. The Spiros we had troubles with, connectivity issues, but that was no big deal. And then dashes, kids would always love to just run them around and crash them into each other. And it's like, it's really not what they're designed for, but go ahead and have a little fun. I'm going to teach you coding later. So that's how it kind of got started with the little things. And then this 2016-17 school year till now, for 3 straight years, it's been pretty much a full-fledged, growing each year Makerspace in our library.
So you're telling me that you didn't just all of a sudden decide you're going to have a Makerspace and just buy a bunch of stuff at once and you're done?
No, not at all. Oh. I had to take it piece by piece by piece, because not only that, it's a little expensive habit, right? So you have to, I would then ask for parents to just kind of contribute stuff. And I mean, literally stuff. Toilet paper rolls, paper towels, old fabric, old this, old that, whatever they had that they didn't want anymore, we would take it and give it out to the kids. So
nice. So seeing that your district got you were awarded a grant to buy the Osmo, the Sphero, the Dash, that kind of thing, would your space still be a Makerspace if you didn't have that grant and those materials?
Yes, it would. It just wouldn't have the 3 sides. So basically it's divided into 3 sides. I have a stay and play side. So the kids, that's the technology area. They come and they've got the Spiros, and they thought, well, this year now we have 3D pens and the merge cubes and Spiros again, because now I'm trying to make them work. Little bits, snap circuits, all that kind of stuff is on my stay and play side. And then I have a make and take side, which that's all stuff. And whatever they make, they get to take. And then we have an art table, which has paint and pastel crayons and just all that kind of creative artistic kind of things that the kids can get involved in. So 3 areas that they can decide which one they want.
Very nice. Yeah, I asked that question simply because I'm actually participating in Discovery Education's Day of Discovery, and we're talking about makerspaces. And the presenter opened up with the fact that when you hear the word makerspace, a lot of people tend to think, oh, you have to have 3D printers, or you have to have all this different tech that goes into it, right? And that's not necessarily the case. You can do it with, like you said, the puzzles, the papers, the popsicle sticks, the coloring, that kind of thing. It's about making and a dedicated space for that to kind of use that makerspace word there separately. But it's always great, of course, to have the extra toys and tools when you can get them. But that doesn't make the space per se.
I find too that most of the students here prefer the make and take side to the technology side, because fortunately, I live in an area where a lot of the students already have these things at home, so they don't need that. So they are so creative in the things that they do. It's just amazing. I had a father one year that would cut up small pieces of wood and put holes in them, and actually he would sand them out and everything. And they crave that kind of stuff in Makerspace.
I bet.
Yeah.
So have you ever been down to the conference, the METC conference?
Yes, no, actually I haven't. There was a mini one out here a while ago that I presented at, but it was nothing like I know that I'm coming to in February.
Okay. Yeah, we have a place called the Makerspace where you play. It's like a playground makerspace. There's a lot of toys and making things in there. So like Osmo and Sphero, Dash and Dot, those are all in there. So excited to see you kind of come and help others play with those tools in their own big makerspace there.
That will be fun. Yeah. Playing is part of learning, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what does a typical day look like for you first, and then for kids that come into your Makerspace library?
So what I appreciate from my teachers, a lot of times I'm talking to other people about Makerspaces, they always want to know, well, what's the curricular tie? How do I match this to the curriculum? Well, first off, Makerspaces are a design space, creativity. Mm-hmm. That is part of the curriculum. If they can free up their mind by letting it flow with things that they want to do, then they're more open to use those, extend that into the classroom is what my goal is. And what I found that these kids crave Makerspace and they cannot stand it if it's ever closed. They love the book fair, but they hate the week that it's closed. So that typical day they come down, they're rotating in their classrooms during their daily 5 time. So during our ELA block, it's a rotation for 20 minutes for a group of 5 kids from each class. And their times aren't all at the same time. So it's not like I have 100 kids in Makerspace at a time. Probably the top is about 15 to 20 kids in there at a time. And so they just come and do what they sign in. And I found too that a lot of times the groups would leave a mess. And so I have them now sign in, and they have assigned roles when they come. There are 5, I give the teachers 5 dog tags basically for them to have a role. I have a sign-in person, a timer, a captain, and then 2 other members of their team. So the sign-in person actually checks in and puts their time down that they've arrived in their class team. And then our timer keeps track of their time so that they've got 5 minutes left to clean up at the end. And our captain makes sure that everybody keeps their role and they all clean up together. So that's been working really well this year as far as the stay and play side. So all day long, they're rotating in and out. During lunch, it's not so busy. And sometimes there's some other special groups that come in. Every now and then a whole class will come down, but then it's on them, not me. The other thing about it, Jonathan, is I really don't let the kids talk to me. It's about them learning to collaborate together. And during our orientation for Makerspace, I say that don't talk to me, there's a 5th grader in there, help them. Could a kindergartner help a 5th grader? Absolutely. You guys need to figure out how to do this together. And I don't even help them learn how to use some of the things that are in there. I said, figure it out, because sometimes when you struggle, you learn it better. And then you can teach someone else.
That's awesome.
That's how I like that.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a great way to look at it. And so you are really truly the facilitator, and the students are feeding off each other and growing together that way. And so that's awesome. And so just to clarify, if classes want to come down, obviously they probably sign up with you, but do these group of students, do they sign up as well, or they just the teachers kind of send them, or they let you know, or how often do you end up with a 5th grader and a kindergartner in the same room together?
Almost every day. Okay. Because during their like I said, during their English, their ELA time, 5 of them are on just different rotations within the classroom. And so one of those rotations is to go to the library, the regular part of the library, and 5 of them come and go into the Makerspace. while some are meeting in groups in their classroom, some are meeting with the teacher in the classroom. So it's just part of their rotation. So each day of the week, a certain group will always be there from each class. So at about 10:30, 10:15 or so, my third graders are the first group that come down. And right after them, there's some first graders, and then there's some kindergartners that are all mixed in that group. So it's a good mixture of kids during the whole day.
That's pretty neat that one of a teacher's center ideas or center tasks could be to go down to the Makerspace and to work in that. That's pretty neat to be able to include that into your daily 5 or daily 6, I guess, if you have that involved. But that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. So I talked about it at the very beginning of the opening of the podcast. So how do you deal with the noise? Libraries are quiet places. You can't talk louder than a whisper. You got the Capital One commercials now where it's really funny when all of a sudden the librarian screams, "Holy cow!" And right, and so that's the popular commercial now. How do you deal with the noise inside the library?
Well, libraries aren't quiet anymore. That's the truth. Mine especially. I love the hub and the noise, but we do have classrooms right off of the library because we're just in the absolute center, and there are classrooms on both sides. So they do have to keep it down to that inside voice. But I told you too. I have installed a sound system, and I have a wireless mic. So if I'm sitting at my desk and they're getting a little loud, I just come on the mic very softly and I say, "Make these visitors. You're getting loud." And because they don't know where I am at the time, they're like, "Whoa, where is she? Where is she?" But it quiets them down right away. Yeah. There are some noisy things in the library. Like one thing that you wouldn't think that would get that much are cup stacking. So I have these red solo cups, and the kids will stack them as high as they can and then knock them down. And it's noisy. Mm-hmm. And they're so excited when they built it so high because they figured out how to make a structure, right? So, but it's noisy. It is noisy, but it's fun to watch them enjoy what they're doing. So. Yeah,
it's pretty amazing how much they love stacking those cups. My mother, my children's grandparents found out by either on Facebook or something, and they went to Sam's and bought a big, huge pack of solo cups. And we showed up to their house one day last year, I think it was, and there's a huge pyramid sitting in the living room. And I'm like, what in the world have you all been doing? And they were just waiting for their grandkids to come over to see what they would do. And I remember the first time my daughter knocked it down and how much noise those solo cups made. It was pretty funny. And she still plays them now. It's been a year and a half, but she still loves playing with them. And now our 8-month-old is whacking them together, and we'll be soon stacking them themselves. So what a neat little tool to add to a space, right?
Right. Something so simple, right?
Absolutely. All right, and so we will take a pause right there, and we'll come back to the rest of our interview with Rhonda Jenkins in part 2 of our talk with Makerspaces in the library with our METC 19 Spotlight Educator. I greatly appreciate her just kind of explaining how she got started. You walk into a Makerspace and you see all the cool things that are happening, and you're like, I gotta have to make this happen in my own space, but you don't know where to start because there's so much there, and it's hard to comprehend where to begin, and that it might seem so simple to start with a puzzle or to start with something that she suggests as well, and like she started with. So, it doesn't have to be everything at first. You build on things over time, and we know that. It's just hard to think back and realize that. So I greatly appreciate her sharing that with us. We got more great things coming up in the next episode coming out next week. So be sure to stay tuned for that one. Again, she will be at our conference February 11th to 13th and the St. Charles Convention Center. Please check out METC Ed Plus for more information. The grid with all of the session information is up there. It's up to date. It will stay up to date. It's almost complete, but as we make changes, they'll be live there. So there shouldn't be any major changes. There's just some minor ones here and there, but it's all up there, metcedplus.org. Check that out. Again, greatly appreciate you listening to our podcast. Please share it out to your friends and family, anybody you feel will benefit from this. If you know any librarians, any classroom teachers looking to add makerspaces to their space, then share it out. Appreciate it. It's available on iTunes, Google Play, pretty much anywhere podcasts can be found. And if you need it found somewhere else, let me know. Please provide feedback using the hashtag METCEdPlus, or send me messages directly. You can connect to me on Twitter at JLeeTech%. So thanks again. Greatly appreciate it. Until our next episode next week, have a good one, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Midwest Education Technology Communities podcast, otherwise known as METC. To learn more about METC, check out our website at metcedplus.org or follow us on social media at METCEdPlus. To learn more about Education Plus, go to edplus.org.